Happy Wednesday night and welcome to Deep in the Plus. Tomorrow's going to be Halloween if you're watching this, on October 30th. Tomorrow's going to be Halloween and we are in the middle of spooky season, actually at the end of spooky season. And the one we're talking about tonight, well, is it spooky or not? I have brought along a friend to decide that with me, Mr. Patrick Hackett.
What's going on, Rob? Pull that lever.
Why do we even have that lever? That's my question. Tonight we're going to be talking about I'm going to call it a cult classic, The Emperor's New Groove. And when we first brought this up, I said, hey, this is going to be at the end of Halloween. And honestly, I kind of didn't necessarily intend it to be a spooky season movie because it was going to be at the end of Halloween and I wanted to do a review on this, but I do think it sort of qualifies. And you said, no, I don't think so. And it's sort of, it almost brought back the whole Die Hard Christmas movie conversation. So, I was like, hey, this feels like a Halloweenish movie. And you were all like, I don't like this. So tell me why you don't think that this one should qualify for spooky season.
It 100% does not qualify for spooky season. It's not a spooky movie, but I can see where you're coming from because we here at WWNT, even though we're on WWNT TV, we focus a lot on the parks. And like you said, there's been Emperor's New Groove Glow Cube. There has been Yzma's done Oogie Boogie recently, right?
Yes, no. Not that I remember.
Yeah. I could be wrong. They get all the great villains there. I just saw a great video of Hades, and let's be honest, we're going to talk about the fact that this is a perfect fit. You have two places you can put an Emperor's New Groove attraction right now: the Tropical Americas, the Plaza del America, or Villains Land, and I think we need an Emperor's New Groove attraction.
Isn't it funny? I was thinking the same thing. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end because I was like, attractions. This is the Glow Cube in question that they did at Disneyland. Which,
oh God, it's amazing.
But how this qualifies as a Glow Cube, I don't know. But it's like you're going to drop this poison into your drink, and then I don't know.
Poison?
It's awesome. They actually had for Mickey's. Sure, they had for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, they had a larger than life size bottle of it that you would hold as a magic shot or whatever they call that. So again, they are trying to introduce it here. I sort of see that because Yzma's a very Jafar-like, and I want to talk a little bit about that.
I think
in the fact that she. Okay, all right. So here's my argument point about that. Let's go ahead and get into that now. Is that I was going to say she's a villain. Beautifully voiced by Eartha Kitt. Love the
amazing.
The choices there.
This might be the best cast Disney animated movie. Like everyone's pitch perfect.
Yep. So in this one, she's like the royal vizier to the emperor and wants to overthrow him and is his closest confidant, but at the same time is always trying to get rid of him and usurp his power. So in that way, I was like, that's kind of like, and she's got magic and Jafar had magic. Now she's not as menacing as Jafar, but she's got a sidekick in Kronk. He's got a sidekick in Iago. There were a lot of similarities to me between the two. But I get what you're saying. Maybe it's not a perfect fit. But
I feel like
the
humor hits with Hades more. I feel like she's a humorous because Jafar, like especially if you're younger, Jafar can be straight up scary. He's not a not scary character, and I don't think you're ever scared of Yzma. I don't think you're ever like, oh, this is someone that's gonna haunt my nightmares.
Even though all she wants to do is kill Kuzco, like the whole thing where she's like using the broccoli to try to like knock him on the head and let's kill him.
Haven't we all felt that way about David Spade at one point in time or another?
Fair. That's fair. So again, the movie we're talking about, Emperor's New Groove, it spawns some like a sequel and a series, and we'll talk about that too. But this came out in 2000, straight up 2000, as rated G.
We would talk about this. Yeah.
Talk about what in particular?
Where it came out, because it is in a rough place for Disney animation. It's coming off of Dinosaur and Fantasia 2000, and then it leads into Atlantis, One Bright Spot with Lilo and Stitch, then Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, which I think is incredibly underrated, Home on the Range, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, a Bolt, which again I think is a little bit underrated. Also Chris Williams, same writer director. And then I don't think we get into what I think is probably like the new golden age until The Princess and the Frog. So this is like in a weird spot for Disney movies.
Yeah, I would say so. There were a lot of at-home drops, like the Tigger movie. I can't remember that one, but like the Little Mermaid 2 and Cinderella 2 and a lot of that stuff. Return to Neverland was around this time too. So it almost felt like they were like, we can't make them good enough for the theater. Because I feel like that was the barometer was, is it good enough for the theater? There's a legend that Toy Story 2 was originally meant for DVD, and they were like, wait a minute, this actually would be great in the theater. Let's pivot, spend more money on it, and make it better. Because there's a difference in the animation that they do when they were doing a straight-to-DVD release. Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. But this all came not too far after these legendary animated movies like Mulan and Hercules and Hunchback and Pocahontas and
don't put
Lion
that
King.
in the same breath as the others. Ugh.
Which one, Pocahontas?
No, Hunchback. Pocahontas is the songs are great. The topic, meh. But
right,
like,
and then you go.
I feel
go
like
back.
Lion King ends that like run. I mean, if you're looking at Lion King, you got Little Mermaid, Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King. Like that's a Hall of Fame lineup. And then you're getting into your Hall of Very Good there, and then it all turns at Dinosaur. It's really the turning point.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong on that one. There was a lot of weak sauce around that time, but this movie in particular, as it started out not as what it ended up being. The original movie was called The Kingdom of the Sun, and I remember
Sleeping
that.
Epic.
It was supposed to be like sort of a more serious film. And here's
Have you seen the documentary?
You're talking about the sweatbox that Sting's partner Trudy made?
Yeah.
I started watching it. I didn't finish it. Did you watch the whole thing?
Every time I went to see it, it had gotten taken down. So I've never finished watching it, but I've always been very interested. Honestly, I think it's better this way. I don't know what that would have been, but this fills a void, and it starts Disney allowing itself to be humorous, I think, a little bit more.
Well, didn't they do that in 1997's Hercules?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, her kind of really brought a lot of humor. There was a lot of comedic actors in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a character sketch of Manco, which was originally the character of that David Spade was supposed to play, and Pacha was supposed to be the lead. And I feel like I saw somewhere that Owen Wilson was supposed to have been Pacha.
Yeah. It was a Prince of the Pauper story.
Yeah. So with that
was going to be the switch.
I was going to say it probably would have felt a little bit more like The Road to El Dorado. Did you ever see that movie?
I have.
Yeah. So like that felt, I mean, like as far as like the scope of it with the animation, with this one, there are some moments in the animation that are beautiful. And then there are other ones that are like psychedelically weird, like Heffalumps and Woozles weird. And then some of it, you're right, that's just bad. And I think part of that is that
the Panther scene is animated really poorly, I think.
Well, and I was thinking about sometimes they do these kind of, you were talking about the humor of it. Sometimes they do these joke things where like Yzma's talking about, I'm going to turn him into a bug and I'm going to take that and put it in a box. And it's just like a squiggle of a bug on a black screen. Yeah. And it's almost, I'm just like going, I just feel all the money you saved on this scene by Deadpool. Not really doing anything.
I felt very Deadpool.
How so?
Breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, meta, very.
Yeah, very, very meta. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing about it. Is like he refers to like the little Tom Jones character as theme song guy. And then like there's a bit where he's talking as narrator, but then he's also talking as the llama to the narrator. And so yeah, it is very meta, very breaking the fourth wall. And the animation again, like if like when they show him in his throne during that one song, and like the ship comes in and he christens it, like where did that ship come from? Like there's no, it's not grounded in reality at that point. It's just this like Aladdin, Friend Like Me, fever dream animation all over the place kind of a thing. But then you've got some of the things that they go through in the mountains that it's like, oh man, this is actually very good animation. And I wonder if that was like part of the original like
the end sequence
Kingdom of the
really
Sun
good animation. I don't know how much they kept, maybe some character design, but like it maybe, I don't know, man. I just wonder, like, yeah, that's really pretty. I wonder what the alternate reality is where Kingdom of the Sun came out instead of this, you know? We probably have a lot of people who, like myself and Tomorrowland and John Carter and people who love Treasure Planet and Atlantis, like people being quote unquote stands for Kingdom of the Sun, but I don't know. I just feel like this felt different, and I don't think we capture what made this film pretty good. Again, I mean, Lilo and Stitch doesn't belong in this stretch of films. You know, it just doesn't. I don't think we really see the way that this connects again until we start to get into like Tangled and Frozen and that kind of. I don't know. I feel like this was the catalyst. It's a really highly rated film. I don't think it made a ton of money, but like it's everywhere you look at it. It's not like trash can on Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that.
There are a lot of people who will love the aesthetic of a movie or a franchise more so than they like the actual movie. And I think a lot of people love Kronk, voiced by Patrick Warburton. I think a lot of people love the idea of this movie, but not necessarily maybe the movie. And we'll come to a final decision on this one at the end. But I really feel like that could be one of those things. Now, there was, again, I'm jumping all over the place, but there was recently a shoulder plush that maybe we talked about on Park Center that was Kronk as an angel and Kronk as a devil. And I was like, this is beautiful. Why did it take so long for them to do this? But that's the thing. I heard everybody go crazy about that. But this is like one of the reasons we kind of created Deep in the Plus is to say, hey, here's a thing that is on there that maybe you didn't decide was going to be, you know, the first thing you went to when you signed up for Disney Plus, but maybe you might want to go back to now and see. Because I remember when Disney Plus first came out, people were like, oh, they got DuckTales, oh, they got this. But did you watch any of that? No, you were watching Mandalorian.
I mean, what I did immediately was go to all the Disney afternoons and just watch the opening, relive the openings.
Spin
that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they should put, we always talk about what should be on Disney Plus. I should be able to get all the little interstitials that used to be on the Disney afternoon or the Disney Saturday morning lineup. I want those. Yep. I want to be able to watch those.
There should be everything. There should be everything.
100%. I feel like this sits in the Elder Millennial Hall of Fame. It's up there with Goofy Movie. It's a movie that spoke to this generation, the 30 and early 40s. By the way, I looked up the box office. It's not great. Estimated $100 million.
It's not great. It's not great.
But I think a lot of that is money wasted on the first version. This was done hastily. It's barely a feature-length motion picture. It just checks in. But estimated $100 million box office, $9.8 million opening weekend. But it made a profit in $169 million worldwide. So, not the best, but this is one that found a home on VHS and DVD.
Boom, baby. Sorry.
Boom, baby.
Is it too soon? Was it too soon? Too soon? Let's look at this real quick, because we're talking about where this thing like fell into like the pantheon. And as I'm scrolling through, these are just all Disney movies, whether they were straight to DVD, whether they were, whether they were.
I just have the theatrical release up. Yeah.
Right, but this is whether they were straight to DVD, whether they were like cartoon, or whether they were. Pixar. So here's the first Pixar one that drops. James and the Giant Peach, Hunchback is in here. And then the third Aladdin movie, Hercules, Mulan, Pocahontas, direct to DVD, second Pixar. So, at this point, Pixar was the strong horse. Now, Tarzan's a good movie. I like Tarzan a lot.
Tarzan's a good movie. Yeah.
But, again, Toy Story 2, Fantasia 2000 kind of like went over like a lead balloon. Dinosaur you talked about, and then there was those computer-generated movies they did, like you mentioned Bolt. Now here's Lilo and Stitch, here's Treasure Planet, didn't do well. Finding Nemo was still doing good. Brother Bear, I think, it should have been bigger than it was. Home on the Range was a complete disaster. And then, then we get into the Chicken Little, and this one, The Wild, that they kind of bought and put their name on it. That was weird too. Meet the Robinsons.
I love Meet the Robinsons. Yeah. Meet the Robinsons,
and then Bolt.
Honestly, I also really like G-Force. G-Force is a horrible, horrible bad movie. But I really enjoy it. I haven't watched it probably. I saw that in the theaters. So I like that a lot.
But they were going to do a lot more computer generated, because Pixar was killing it at that point. They were going to do a lot more computer generated. And then they were like, John Lasseter, and when the companies came together, said, no, let's do what Disney does best. And let's go back to hand-drawn animation and Princess and the Frog. And then that lasted for one movie. And then they went back to computer animation for Tangled. And there was also a Winnie the Pooh movie that was released. But
which is really good. Which is really, really good. And
it's a lost art. No, why can we do stop action, but we can't do hand drawn anymore?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's
anyway,
so much better. We're a half hour into the show. I don't think we've talked about one thing that happens in the movie.
Well, and again, most people know this movie. Is it a classic? Is it a classic? It's not Snow White. Now here's again.
It's not.
Yeah, so the basic gist is that there is a very spoiled emperor, and he wants to build his empire, and he wants to just do whatever he wants to for himself, including displacing an entire peasant village so he can build a theme park, which I wonder if there's undertones to like throwbacks at Disney because of that. But maybe not. I don't think they've necessarily ever done that, but I know that at the time, around the time this was out, maybe after this, Disney's America was being yelled at because they were talking about building Disney's America up in DC, and people were yelling that you're building fake history on top of real history, and so on and so forth. And I thought to myself, if it was real history, why did you sell them the land to do it in the first place? But I think everything.
Do you think we would be able to get an annual pass to both? Like, would I have that option? Could you imagine if I was a train ride from a Disney park? Like, if I could just hop on the Excella and get to Disney's Americas, I'd be broker than I am now.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. But it was, I think, designed to be sort of a half-day park so that you could also do the history stuff. But anyway, so he's going to build this water park for himself on top of this mountain and displace all these peasants. And so at the same time, Yzma wants to be ruler, and he keeps intervening. What are you doing in my seat? All this. And so she decides she's going to kill him, but instead of killing him, her henchman Kronk accidentally poisons him with a formula that turns him into a llama. Yeah, exactly. So the poison for Kuzco. That's the basic gist. He gets turned into a llama. He gets placed with the peasant that he was going to displace. And then it's sort of like a road movie after that point of the two of them on their journey back. One thing I noticed is there wasn't a ticking clock.
Ooh.
It wasn't like you have to have it by midnight. We have to get him back by a certain point.
Yeah, there was once it became the race. It wasn't a ticking clock, but it was the race that was resolved by a plot hole. Yeah, no, I guess you're right, which allowed them to have the scene on the bridge and then from the scene on the bridge, we get the 4-day trek versus the easy trek, and you see how quickly Kuzco turns and does not hold true to his word, while Pacha always remains a man of his word. Very, very David Spade, Chris Farley vibes from this. It's kind of Tommy Boy. It's kind of, it's in that same vein.
Yeah. And you know what? I wondered to myself at this point if maybe like this was supposed to be Chris Farley and not John Goodman.
There were rumors that it was supposed to be Chris Farley and then he passed away before that happened, but I don't know. I don't know how real that is, because he passed away in 1997. So yeah, it definitely wasn't supposed to be him.
But when it opened up, and it opens up on him already being a llama, and then we kind of like he goes back to the beginning.
One of my least favorite tropes in cinema.
It just Well, and the way it timed out was exactly perfect. It starts out in the first chapter, in Act 1, with him in the jungle. I bet you wonder how I got here, and then they go back to him and kind of tell the story about how he got there, and then eventually, 2/3 of the way through the movie, as we're beginning Act 3, that's where we're back, and it's like, yep, this is where we started. And then it's that till the end. But when the movie starts out and I'm listening to David Spade, it is so David Spade, the no touchy, all that kind of stuff is just like
it's SNL just, David Spade.
Yeah, it's just him. And so
I don't know if anybody's doing any acting in this or just reading as themselves, which I mean we get a lot of in animated movies, especially now. One of the best ones I think is Sing, because there's a lot of people in Sing that I really could not tell who they were. Like I had no idea that was all right.
Taron Egerton.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know that was Taron Egerton. At first.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I didn't know that was McConaughey. I didn't know that was Tori Kelly. So like they did a good job of disguising who their voices are. But this is just, these are the people, and you're playing off of their types, and you're feeding off of knowing who they are.
Yeah. Well, I always make fun of Kevin Costner for that. Kevin Costner in the 90s or late 80s or whatever was always Kevin Costner. He was never anything other than that. When he was Robin Hood, he was Kevin Costner. When he was in Field of Dreams, he was Kevin Costner. But, you liked him because he was Kevin Costner, versus like a Johnny Depp that completely loses himself into the character, I feel like.
Yeah, or like a Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks could very easily fall into that Tom Hanksy role, but he acts in almost everything he does, except he has to take a pee in every movie he's in, which is weird.
Dude, Mr. Rogers, he killed. That was we just
He's
saw
great
Beautiful
as
Day in the
Walt.
Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure in the Saving Mr. Banks. So let me just talk about this. The scene where they poison him and he turns into a llama is so disturbing to me, the transformation.
Really? It felt like Pinocchio.
Yeah, I could see that, but like, the ears, that's not really a problem, but it's when he gets the long neck that like the face at the top, like it's just a human face at the top of the long neck.
No, yeah, it's good.
By the way, I love the fact that Yzma didn't eat or drink she didn't drink the poison, and she threw it into the pot, and then the pot turns into a llama. I was like, how brilliant is that? And it's so like subtle when it happens that you see like it's sitting over to the side there, and But Eartha Kitt, let's talk about the voices for a second. So Eartha Kitt, it was with Catwoman on the old Batman 1969-ish TV show, so the one with Adam West. That's, I think, the first time I ever saw her was as in that role, and not because I saw it in 1969, wasn't around, but when I saw it in reruns, I was like, okay, but she was like, did the whole perfect thing.
She's so good at it.
And then she sang that Santa Baby, like
She
one of
did.
the original versions. And then there was a movie in the '90s called Boomerang with Eddie
Oh,
Murphy
I know
and
Boomerang. Yeah.
yeah, and she was in that movie, and his character's name was Marcus, and she was like this like aging like starlet who he thought was like the owner of this mega empire, and she was like he was sort of flirting with her, and
Yeah.
so then she's coming on to him, and I just remember that voice, that raspy voice, going Marcus, and I was just like, it was creepy, but. She's amazing. She was amazing. She
Yes.
passed away. She was amazing. Then you've got Patrick Warburton, who freaking love Patrick Warburton and anything he does. But I was watching this and thinking, does
Is
he
he a
ever
Disney
play?
legend?
No, not yet. He
He
should be.
should be. He should be. For this and
Two
Soren alone.
two attractions because he does a voice in Star Tours, and he also does the Soren, and then he also does this with Emperor's New Groove. But he always plays. And also, Family Guy is now part of Disney, so Joe Swanson. But he always sort of plays an idiot, doesn't he? Whether he's
Yeah.
Putty or Joe Swanson or
It's the
Kronk.
voice. It's the voice.
Now there was a show that he was on with David Spade
Yes.
that was called Rules of Engagement,
It's
and
a
on
bad
that
show.
show he was amazing, and
Yeah.
he's
It's a
not an
bad
idiot
show.
on that show. I love that show.
Do you really?
I love that
We'll have
show.
to talk about that another time because that's not on Disney Plus, right?
No, it's not on Disney Plus. Rules of Engagement was a
Cool.
CBS show, so just
Yeah.
in case you were keeping track on that. So they
Yeah, keep it Paramount Plus.
so they beat they beat him over the head, and
Yeah.
Yzma's like, dispose of him, get rid of him, kill him. And now I'm thinking of every time that's happened in a Disney movie. There was the Panic and Pain didn't make Hercules drink all of the serum.
Yeah.
There was the Huntsman didn't actually get Snow White's
Yeah.
heart. There was the Lion King, and they chased Simba away, but the hyenas didn't kill Simba. And it's just, how many times have we gone to the well on this?
Finish the job. You're a hench person. Hench. You got a hench.
But I
know
feel
what
like
you're doing.
in the Snow White and the Huntsman, it was a noble act that he was doing, and he sort of, depending
Yeah,
on which
and
version of it
Kronk
you
too.
watch. Yes, and Kronk too. With Hades or with Panic and Pain
No,
and
they
the
just
hyenas,
done
it was
messed up.
lazy. It was lazy.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
just like, this will
Good
never come
enough.
back to haunt me. But yeah, he was having a crisis of faith, and of course, when you have a crisis of faith, that's when the angel and devil appear on your shoulders. But again, perfect. Like they were made to be shoulder plush, and Disney finally was like, 24 years later, was like, we should probably do that. Like that's probably a thing that we should do. This movie becomes 24 years old on December 10th of this year, which again is a weird time to release a movie, buddy.
Weird time
December
to release
10th.
a movie.
It's not
Yeah.
Christmas and it's not Thanksgiving. It's in between.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was. I think that seemed to be
Let's
a
go into
misstep
the
as
movies
well.
then. Everybody's spending their money on gifts and shopping, and yeah, it's a bad time. I think this was one of those dump it kind of releases. They didn't expect it to do well.
Probably, but again, I mean that happens a lot, right? When they retool a movie, I think Good Dinosaur was that. Good Dinosaur, they presented it one way, they retooled it, and what ended up with what kind of fell short. Same thing with this one. It's not what it was intended to be originally, and so you kind of feel that sometimes. The animation, again, back to the animation of Pacha is very. That's not fancy, right? Like
No.
I mean, maybe it's what the character called for.
Yes, I think it's what the character called for. Yeah. Definitely. You feel the tired in Pacha. I think it's a really well drawn character. You see his emotions.
Yeah. Also interesting to me that Wendy Malick, who plays his wife in this one, was on Just Shoot Me with David Spade. So there's like a lot of 6 degrees of David Spade in this one. Also with the fourth wall that you were talking about, they do that here where they're talking about, what's going on. He's like, hold on. No, this story's about me. I'm over here. Tell the story about me. That's a bold move. Why did we need to do that?
Because they needed to fill out enough space to make it a feature-length film.
An hour and 22 minutes. But by the way, whenever you and I get together to do Deep in the Plus, and it's a movie that I haven't watched in a while, and I sit down, Happiest Millionaire 3 hours, sit down with this one, and it's like, it's an hour and 22 minutes. I'm like, I can crack through that before dinner.
I watched it while cooking dinner and then while eating dinner. It was great. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And Cece, my daughter, sit and cuddle up with me and watch it. She enjoyed it. She really liked it. Much to Shayna's, my wife's chagrin, because she does not like this movie. I love it. We'll get to it, but spoiler alert. I really love this movie. It hits me in just the right spot, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah. So those are the main voices: David Spade, John Goodman, Eartha Kitt, Patrick Warburton, Wendy Malick, who, if you ever watched, what was the Hot in Cleveland? Was that show that she was on, and then again, Just Shoot Me, and she's been in a million things. And then Tom Jones is Tom Jones in this, and is like he's the theme song guy. But again, going back to the music part of it, the music was written by Sting. The idea of Sweatbox, which Trudy Styles made this movie about the making of the Kingdom of the Sun. And Disney keeps burying it because it's very kind of like against the grain of Disney. Yeah, exactly. But but basically, the idea was that they didn't really know what the thing was, and they gave Sting some direction, and he went and wrote a bunch of songs, and he gave them to him, and they're like, "Oh, that character doesn't exist anymore, and this character has a new path," and so you go back and write it again, and then you go here. He's not used to doing that, and so
he's Sting.
He's Sting. And in the credits, it says Sting, courtesy of A&M Records, so he wasn't part of this machine either, or he was under contract with another company to do this. So, I would love to hear all of the music because I'm a huge Sting fan. The Dream of the Blue Turtles hit me at the right age, and I loved that album. I was actually, in fun story about Sting, I was in GECO at Disney, and there was a weird African version of the Russians song from Sting's Dream of the Blue Turtles playing, and I mentioned it to the hostess, and she was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm in here every day and I hear this song all the time, and I had no idea that it was a Sting song. So there you go. That's a great story. I know.
I was going to say, how was the bread service, but that's not. I've never been to GECO. I gotta get on that.
You've never been to GECO, the cooking place? You just pass right by it and go to the Mara? Probably.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, or on your way to the gym, probably, because that's the other way. Yeah. Which way to the beach? Yeah. So again, that's the cast of the voice cast. That's the music, in a nutshell. We talked about the animation. Again, there's some weird scenes. There's some that look good. There's some that aren't. And probably a lot of that was piecing this movie together to get it out the door at some point. So a lot of neat little catchphrases. The lever thing I've seen pop up on TikTok so much. Have you ever seen that?
It's highly gift. Yeah, it's highly gift for the Pacha light scene. For the wrong lever I've seen a lot on TikTok.
Pull the lever. No, not the wrong lever. Why do we even have that lever? Yeah, that's quality.
No touchy.
Boom, baby. Yeah, we could just gift the whole freaking thing.
It's meme the movie.
Meme the movie. Yeah. So let me pause here for a moment and thank you everybody for watching. And if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. If you like Emperor's New Groove, give us a thumbs up. Don't you? Let's take a look at your background for a second, because you were the best man at a wedding.
I was the best man at my best friend Kevin's wedding. That's actually a picture of us from when he was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Did not do quite as well as I did, but I still love him.
Just a little flex. Yeah, well, I love I love the best man belt. That's a really cool thing.
It was amazing.
Let's see how much of a champ you are at trivia. So
it's going to be real bad, Rob. I tried to put some stuff together, and I couldn't even fathom what you were going to ask. If you come with something from that diner order scene, I might walk off the show.
Okay, Okay, let's cross that off the list. No. Actually, I don't actually have anything from that.
All right. Good.
Let's start easy. What was
Sure.
the Emperor going to call his water park?
Kuzco-topia.
Yeah. When Pacha got back home, he had to put his llama away. What was his llama's name?
Oh man! Oh, that's a great question. I have no idea. I want to say it was like Rosie or something.
Misty.
Misty. Good question.
Yeah, when I heard that, he's talking to his wife. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go put Misty away," and I was like, "Oh, trivia. Okay."
One of my daughter's favorite My Little Ponies.
Kuzco was giving himself Kuzcotopia for his birthday. What number birthday was this for Kuzco?
18.
18, yeah. I thought that was a pretty easy one. Kronk can speak squirrel because he was a member. He was a member of what scout troop? What was the name of the scout troop he was a member of?
Junior Chipmunks. He had to learn how to speak all woodland creature.
Yep. I'm impressed that you knew that because, I think Junior Woodchuck instantly because I'm thinking of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And because it was a squirrel, the Junior Chipmunks didn't seem to make sense, so I thought that might throw you off.
That's why it stuck with me.
Yeah. Here's the final question for you. In his normal state, in his normal clothes, what 3 colors make up Kronk's outfit?
Wow.
You see it all the time.
I know. Blue? Gold and white?
Close. Blue, yellow, gold, and purple.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense because Yzma's purple. Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, I mean, that's his normal state, but that's not always he's not always in his normal state. What I thought was really funny, and the blue and the gold are at the top, and then the purple is his skirt, and then he's got a belt that's like a different color purple from that. He has black sandals, but I didn't count that. That's it. That's all for that one. But I love the bits where they change his clothes because it's always the same pattern. But at the funeral, he was wearing it. It was like gold or white and black. And then he's out there in the woods, and it's kind of like that sort of camo vibe to it. But it was a really neat concept of changing his clothes around and what Kronk was.
You don't see that often in animation.
No, you don't. It's all like Peter Griffin is always the green pants and the white shirt. Homer Simpson's always the white shirt and the blue pants. It's the same thing. I think it's interesting that all of these characters seem to carry an equal weight in the movie. Whether it's Pacha, Kuzco, Yzma, or Kronk, they carry
it's definitely an ensemble style film. I think no one's a star.
And I think that for the most part, most people probably associated or remembered Kronk from this because of the talking to the squirrel and the goofy stuff that he did and the talking to the things on his shoulders.
Right.
I feel like he is the standout. Would you agree
definitely.
to that one?
Absolutely. Okay. I think he's the standout character. I gotta say, as much as I like this, he's supposed to be an unlikable character and have some redemption, but he's just a bad character. He's so flimsy and paper thin, and his motivations switch on a whim, and it's never really for much valid reason, or it takes an extraordinary amount for him to change. I don't know. I don't dig the character. I think the background characters are what really make this. The other 3, honestly, the 2 villains more than Pacha, but the 2 villains are golden.
But in the same way that Patrick Warburton is always the dumb one, David Spade is always the annoying one. When is he not the annoying one? He's the annoying one as Dennis on, he's always the, on Just Shoot Me, he's the annoying one. In Tommy Boy, he's the annoying one. He's that's the character he's playing is he's the annoying one. When is he not that? And so I guess that that's part of being typecast.
Yeah.
Would you say? You were saying they're all kind of being themselves. I mean, Eartha Kitt's being the old creepy
or at least the
version
version of themselves that we know.
Correct. We don't.
Yeah.
I don't hang out with David Spade a lot, so maybe he is different when you meet him in person. There's not a lot to this story. Once he turns into, because like you said, it's short, but it's not too short. There are shorter Disney movies, but an hour and 22 minutes is not long. But it's still 3 acts, but it's still, the first act is him basically getting turned into to the llama, and then getting up with Pacha and like creating this. Hey, I don't want you to go back and become human again and tear down my village, but he's also a nice guy and he wants to help him, and so he tries to keep changing him and making him a better person, and in doing so, in this adventure, they end up trusting each other, needing each other, but it's that road back to the castle that gives them, or the palace that gives them that changes him. That's the journey that changes him. Now Pacha doesn't really get changed. It's the journey of Kuzco. He's really, I guess, again, it's his movie. He's the one. It's his journey, and he does change for the better at the end, and is sympathetic at the end. He's the guy who's like, I'm not going to build this here. Still trying to stay on brand and saying that it's because he's changed his mind and he doesn't like the place, but he's doing it for Pacha.
The son doesn't really sing, and
yeah. So, but the rest of the movie is that traveling and the things they run into, the trials of the woods, and in a lot of ways it's very similar on that path with the Wizard of Oz, taking that path and all the things that stand in their way to get to Oz. It's him getting back to the I
was going to say the Princess and the Frog.
Yeah,
very similar,
and he's almost there. He's almost there. Yes.
They get on that bridge, they fall down.
Yep. In that restaurant scene, though, the restaurant scene is funny. I do like the restaurant
scene. It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's really, really funny. Oh, man.
What did you think I was going to ask you from that?
I don't know. I was trying to follow the orders, and I'm like, and cut the steak into a trout. I was like, is he going to pull something from here? I didn't know, but it's a really funny scene. I like the quick talking stuff. I did not like that. That's unnecessarily gross.
Yeah, why? Why did they do that? Is that like, I mean, isn't this supposed to be sort of Peru, the way that this is based? Like, that's not something
I've had
I
Peruvian
think that they
food.
would eat.
Peruvian food is phenomenal.
I was about to say, I don't think that's something they would eat there.
Yeah, like a pill bug. Like, it felt like, here's some leftover animation from Lion King. We just needed to get it out.
I was going to ask you, by the way, under trivia questions, I was going to ask you what's the difference between a llama and an alpaca, because they mention both in this. They mention both.
I have no idea. I wonder that all the time.
Do you?
Is it the fur?
How often do you think about the Roman Empire? No, so the fur is part of it, but what is funny is that a llama has a longer neck, and so what I wondered about on this table, this like what I assume are salt and pepper shakers or something.
One llama, one alpaca.
I wondered if that was the thing. They reference it, and I'm thinking, how confusing is that? They reference alpaca. Like, you've told us this is a llama. Why would you confuse a child by going alpaca? Mom, Dad, what's the difference between a llama and alpaca? Because he's talking about the poncho that he's loaned, and he goes, that's really soft. Is that alpaca? He's like, yeah. And then he says something about, did your wife knit that? And he goes, crochet. And so then my next question to you is going to be, what's the difference between knitting and crocheting? Which anybody who crochets will come at you hard if you ask that question. They will be like,
it's the needles,
kidding
right?
me?
Isn't it?
Knitting needles or the crochet? Yeah, one hook. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. We'll get trashed for that for sure.
You know what? Every time I make someone angry on Park Center, we get some pretty good views. Crocheting is far superior than knitting.
Yeah. I want to be Kronk, by the way, going through life going, okay, you're the short order cook now. Okay, well, I'll start doing that. But that's a very Lucille Ball old school bit. Like the rotating door. I'll have the potatoes. Yes, cheese. No cheese. Yes, cheese. No cheese. Strike the potatoes. I'll have a salad. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, that whole thing is very old school.
The comedy's good. The comedy's
vaudeville, like them holding the menus up and at different times, and Anyway,
even when they come out of there, and he's once again changed who he is, and is just going back to them and the ducking under when he needs to talk. I did my hand as a llama because it was very very like slapsticky.
Yeah. So Kronk realizes that he recognizes Pacha, and they're going to go back to his village so that they can find to find Kuzco and kill him. And then when they get there, his family's way too smart, and the kids are. Those
they
two
home
kids
alone
remind. Yes, I was gonna say those two kids remind me of the two kids that Panic and Pain turned into in Hercules. Yeah. Somebody call so IXII.
It's a good joke. Yeah. It's a very very funny bit. It's great. It's cute and it's funny, man. I like how the wife, she has agency of her own. She can handle herself. First pregnant character that we know of. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was there not a pregnant character in Small One?
I don't know what Small One is. That's a new one on me. Yeah.
You don't know what Small One is? Small One is the story of the Christmas Story, and it's about this donkey, the small one. I don't know.
Listen, a lot of times I just go off of what I say and I see on IMDb, and I fact check it pretty quickly.
And Small One is not a.
It might be specifically Disney animated.
Well, I was gonna say Small One is not it's not a full length. It was like a Christmas special. It's 26 minutes, but I don't know if there's actually Mary and Joseph should be in that one, but yeah. But for an actual like full-length animated feature, you probably are right. I can't imagine that there's another one anywhere before this one. So yeah. So they race back to and again it gets very meta because there's a map and it's very Indiana Jones style, and we're seeing where Kuzco and Pacha are running, and then we've got like the places that they're running are on the ground on a map, and it's very strange. But there's a race, like you said, back to the castle or the palace. Well, I don't know why I keep calling it
because we're Disney people, man. It just seems right.
Yeah. So they go all the way back. Here's a question for you. Sure. I don't understand this. Maybe you can explain this to me. Where does he get the bow and arrow?
Great question. No answer for you.
He just all of a sudden has a bow and arrow, and then he doesn't have it again. I don't know. Because I feel like maybe he should have used that against the crocodiles or the jaguars or any of those other things.
Picked it up along the way. I mean, if you ever played any RPG, you find items along the way. Yeah. You just put it in his inventory. He had it.
And then where the guards turn into like animals feels very. A good spot. I was gonna say it feels very Robin Hood.
Yes, it felt very Robin Hood, or I felt a little Sword in the Stone.
I love that. I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home for the day? Yes, you may go. Anyone else? No, anyone else? We're good.
And then you get the nice homage to Fantasia in there. With the Sorcerer's Apprentice scene.
How so?
You didn't catch that? With them coming down the stairs. It's very similar to the shots in the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, and during that time, he's doing everything he can to try to find the right vial to turn him back into a human. And there's an octopus chasing him. That's kind of weird. Mm-hmm. He puts him down as a turtle, and he basically like surfboards on him. There's a lot of gags here, and trying to get him back human. He gets back human. Yzma becomes a cute little kitty cat, great for merchandise. Yep. Then he becomes human again. He gets his empire back, but he's a smarter guy. That is funny too. Yeah, I'm a llama. Wait, I felt like there was a very Monstro vibe too to him becoming the the whale, and like as the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
Monstro like comes up from the bottom. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean it was a fun little bit, them turning back and forth into that, and then they're like drain the whole thing, and it all comes through the nose because we're children and we love fart jokes and stuff through the
Could
nose
have
and
done
all that kind of
without
stuff.
that. Could have done without the double booger bit.
Yeah, where she puts on the string and then
Right.
bounces.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Mm.
I mean, just in case, maybe we need to look at it again.
Mm. I feel like I feel like you're gonna get us taken down, Rob. I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm stopping. So anyway, they all live happily ever after. Kronk becomes a junior chipmunk guide. The emperor gets a place right next to theirs so they can all hang out and have a good time, and it's a happy ending for everybody. So, that's a
But
good
what
thing.
happens to Yzma?
She's a kitty cat still. She's a kitty cat in the chipmunk thing.
Okay, I thought I might have missed that because yeah, all right. I was like, was the last we saw of Yzma her getting smacked with a rock?
No.
All
Um,
right,
yeah. So
I love
she's
kitty
part of
cat
the
Yzma.
she's part of the club here.
Mhm.
So, and then it's the end, and then they hit the Tom Jones song again, or the Sting song hits
Mhm.
at the end, the one he's actually singing,
Yep.
and then it's over. So like we talked about, it was an hour and 20 minutes. It was G rated. Nothing seemed to be out of place seeing this 24 years later that made it
No.
seem like, oh, like this is offensive now or that's offensive now. So I feel like it stands up okay as
Yeah.
far as like being a decent movie and a good G rating on that one. So I like that.
Yeah.
um
Definitely.
some of the notes that I made after the fact, though, is I was looking at the fact that there's not enough of like them in the parks, and maybe I think there should be more. But
I
you and I were
agree.
talking about, they did have this at one point for some reason. I don't
Where
know that
was
I've seen
that?
I don't know that I've seen any of those characters before, but I was looking through, and there are characters in here. That Yzma is hideous. This
Yeah.
was Disney Dreamers show at Disneyland Paris.
Mm.
So, and this version of it, of the characters, is a little bit less. This is very pixelated, but a little less creepy. This looks like it was done during a Run Disney situation,
Yeah. Yep.
because they always pull out the cool characters for the Run Disney.
Well, now that you're
But
a
I
Run
mean,
Disney veteran, you're gonna get all those cool character picks.
yeah, but the problem is that I can't. I'm not fast enough to stop and get my picks and still beat the balloon ladies. Here are those shoulder plush that we had talked
Oh,
about
they're so
earlier.
cute.
Yeah, they were like 40
I
bucks
gotta
or
say,
something like that.
as much as I enjoy the shoulder plush, they are obnoxious to wear in the parks. They're
Yeah.
really, they're not fun to wear.
Okay. You don't have to.
I'm not gonna.
So when you talk about this movie and where it could fit in the parks, part of the thing that you were just talking about was the roller coaster scene with the pull of the lever and they take the
Yes.
roller coaster down. You could absolutely take the rock and roller coaster building that you have now and put in that kind of an attraction, or heaven forbid, build a new one somewhere that hasn't.
What? No.
No,
Um,
let's just reskin everything.
I mean, honestly, like to me, I mentioned this in the comments of 2 weeks ago, Park Center. I am shocked that there are still things, considering the wide variety of what Disney owns, that there are still things that are not their own properties in the parks. I love Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. I hope it never goes away, but it still is shocking to me that it's there. Emperor's New Groove could fit in there, especially with the way it fits into the Morocco Pavilion. Um, but I would love to see this in the villains land. I think Kronk and Yzma would be great. We don't have Eartha Kitt to do voices, but we can pull audio from the masters, I imagine, and still have just as good experience. We can get Patrick Warburton a third attraction. It would really be wonderful. Or, make it like bumper cars or whatever. There's a lot that you can do. I would love to see Imagineering get a little more creative. And this could go in why do I keep forgetting the name of the Tropical Americas, Plaza de Americas? What's going over there? Plaza de
Tropical
Americas?
Americas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the tropical Americas, and it's but the deal with that is like I would love to see this in like an Incan temple, that kind of a thing,
Yeah.
up on the hill. But there, you could make an entire village out of this because you could have the restaurant. That restaurant is just ready to do something with, and you could have, you could have a lot of like, this stuff that I'm sure came from Etsy and didn't actually come from, from the parks. But maybe it's too late for this one. I don't know. But I still stand by the fact that there should be 101 Dalmatians should have a dark ride or an attraction of some sort because it's had so much after the fact IP with the Dalmatian Street special or TV show, the regular Dalmatians, the Cruella movie, the live action Glenn Close, and there's nothing anywhere. And people love dogs. Like I don't understand why we're not out there doing that, and that's one that keeps coming up to me. But again, with the shoulder plush, with these, with the glow cubes, with the characters every now and then, they do still sprinkle this in and have this represent every now and then. So that's good.
I'd love as I roll up to a very Merry Christmas party, the opportunity to meet Angel Kronk.
That would be funny. So there was also, we talked about this for a second. There was a sequel to this, and it was called Kronk's New Groove. Yep. So it's got the same cast in it. It's still Patrick Warburton and Eartha Kitt and David Spade and John Goodman. And this one came out in 2005, but it was straight to DVD or VHS, whatever was happening at the time. Then after that, there was The Emperor's New School. I kind of hate this. This was not David Spade, and so it was a different cast altogether. I think Wendy Malick may have still been in it, but other than that, she is still credited for it. But it was 2 seasons long. There may be people out there who loved this.
I bet there is.
But
there was a video game too, wasn't there?
Emperor's New School or Emperor's New Groove?
Emperor's New Groove. There was a video game when I was doing my search on the writers, and that came up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of that stuff had Aladdin had video game, Hercules had a video game. There were a lot of them that came out that had a video game. But like this whole idea of like the new school, like going back in time and making this weird. But I mean, it was already weird, I guess. It's fine. It's fine. But it's more of the same. And now that we have Disney Plus, you could have another thing. Like, who wouldn't freak out about another Kronk thing coming? Like, even if it was shorts, like that would be something cool to do that they haven't done yet. So
it was The Emperor's Got Game and Kronk's New Groove Pyramid Scheme.
Perfect.
I think this is where Disney really needs to make its money right now, is off of people who are in their early to mid 40s, late 30s.
Nostalgia. They've always made their money on nostalgia.
Yeah.
So they're just missing. They're missing this group.
Yep, and I think they need to hit it. And man, could you imagine the line? We've talked about it so many times. If Powerline took over Rock and Roller Coaster. Could you imagine?
Yep.
Like the virtual queue would be impossible.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I agree. I think that they should do more with this kind of IP. But I mean, there's a lot of things they still need to do with, and yet at the same time, we see more Frozen, more Toy Story, more of the same IP, and then every now and then
some Coco and Encanto and Moana, so some of the new stuff. But I think they're missing. We're at the age over here, and then we're at the age over here, and you're missing this, and that's the people. Those are the parents of the kids, and you're going with grandparents and kids. You gotta aim at the parents.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Okay, so we talked about this movie. Is there anything that we've missed talking about before we give final thoughts on this? Because again, I feel like we covered most of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we did.
Okay. All right. So before we get to final thoughts on it, I want to say thank you to for everyone who watches, and thank you for continuing to watch Park Center and Deep in the Plus. We appreciate you, but also thank you to our Wigs members. We love our Wigs, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. Thank you guys for being members of the family.
Kids. My fingers don't work that way.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys for being with us for the shows. We appreciate it. And then we're wrapping up the spooky season here. Like I said, you and I started this off with Girl vs. Monster. Ron and I did Blackbeard's Ghost, and then Desi did Edward Scissorhands. Maleko did Mickey Mouse Halloween. That was a lot of fun. We're doing Emperor's New Groove, and then we're going to be back next Wednesday to do Agatha House of Harkness. That actually aired tonight, the final 2 episodes, so I haven't watched them yet, but I'm excited to do that.
That's not the name of the show.
Oh, it's not. It's Agatha All Along, but I keep calling it something else. Yeah.
You have, yeah. It might have been what it was earlier. I thought man, I wish I was on this. It's the day after my birthday, so I'm gonna let myself rest. But man, what a show!
Yeah. Yes, it's definitely been interesting. Okay, so then just a programming note, we will not have a Park Center this Sunday night, but we'll be back the next Sunday, November 10th, with this guy. This guy is going to be there, Patrick Hackett, sharing...
Getting closer and closer to a trip.
Spitting some truths out there. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're getting closer to your Jollywoods. That's going to be fun. All right, so we talked about everything. We've set the stage here. Now, I need to know if somebody came up to you and said, hey, I'm looking for something to watch on Disney+. Patrick Hackett, would you recommend this movie?
How much time do you have? Because if you have like 82 minutes, let's watch The Emperor's New Groove. Why not? You could do so much worse. There are so many things that we've watched on here that I'm like, why? What am I doing with my time? This is fun. It's short. It's stupid. Turn your brain off. Have a laugh. Try to ignore how insufferable Kuzco is. I guess that's kind of the point of the character. And just really have a good time. It's a shut off your brain movie. My daughter liked it. She's 5. It made her laugh. And I don't know if it's nostalgic for me because I was 19 when it came out. So it's not like it was my childhood. It's just something I found that makes me laugh.
Okay. I would say I would definitely recommend it for several reasons. One of them is if it's something that is a Disney full-length animated feature and considered one of those movies, I definitely recommend it, but also because of how it has influenced pop culture, as we've talked about with the memes and TikToks and things that have been out there about it. You just don't get it if you don't know. And it's like you said, it's an easy watch. It's an hour 22. You can sit down and maybe stretch out dinner and watch it. So I mean, I would highly recommend watching it, and just to see what all the hubbub is about if you haven't already. I don't think we spoiled too much about it here. If you've never seen it, you probably would still like it. We've given you the gist, but I feel like you probably would have known the gist from the trailer. So but let us know if this is an important movie in your development for you growing up. If this is one you're like, nah, this is a big deal for me. Because like you said, Patrick, a Goofy movie was so big. They've done a documentary about the making of it, Powerline, all of those things like are in the culture. I feel like this is one of those that is there too and is a must watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you summed it up quite well, sir.
Cool. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you doing this with me. And again, make sure that you tune in next week for Agatha All Along, and then also come back on November 10th for another episode of Park Center and get to see Patrick Hackett one more time before his trip. So thank you guys. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.